Hey, welcome back to the channel. So right here what you're seeing is I'm centering the rear portion of the oil pump to the crankshaft, and I'm using feeler gauges all the way around. You'll also notice this piece, which is still loose. That's an aftermarket part called a girdle. It helps support this side of the oil pickup tube, which has a bolt hole, but no bolt and no way of mounting the pickup tube to it. So it's insurance in case this bolt back here ever falls out. I haven't tightened it up because I want to get this bolt in, make sure everything's lined up in case I need to remove any of this. So anyway, let me do a few more things on it. I just have these barely even tight. I can't loosen them with my hand, but they're just there. And I have between 2.5 to 3 thousandths all the way around is what I'm pinching. So I'm feeling to see if there's tension on some and not on others, that I need to kind of give this housing a little nudge to loosen up the tight ones. See, this one feels a little tight, but that's a 3 thousandths. So that's the thickest one I have in there. So unfortunately I didn't have enough, so I made do. If it's a 0.5 thousandths between them, it shouldn't make a difference. As long as it's not touching, I would be happy with that. The service manual doesn't even say you have to do this except on the LS7. Well, this isn't an LS7. I imagine if it was off a little bit, that these grooves here would just end up wearing into the aluminum housing. It's quite soft, and that's probably what they do at the factory. A little bit of wear there to seat. So let me work on it a little more, and I'll bring you back for more video. Well, I may or may not be doing this right, but I got 3 thousandths all the way around the bottom, and 2.5 thousandths and 2 thousandths, so it's all within a thousandths of each other, which I would say is pretty good. It will let oil pass all the way around it. So I've got them torqued, not quite all the way, these bolts. I've got them torqued to 132 inch-pounds. They're supposed to go to 216 inch-pounds or 18 foot-pounds. Right now I only have them part way in case I need to loosen them up. Torquing those did change the value on how much slippage I got, but not enough to make a difference. So let me put the gear rotor in there and see how that lines up. I was pretty careful with this when I took it out. I didn't separate the two. I didn't want the top and bottom to be different in case there was any difference in wear. You see the notch right there? I'm not seeing any kind of key on the shaft, so I'm assuming, and until I look in the service manual, which I will before I button everything up, I think that is just for oil passage. That may be a bunch of baloney too, because the whole thing's in oil. So, but this is the back side you're looking at, and I'm going to fit it on there and hopefully not drop it. Yeah, I better do this with 2 hands. That slid right in there. You can see that notch. So I'll look in the adjustment for the LS7 and see if it says anything about that. So this should be good. I should be getting a good feeler gauge in here all the way around, and I'll check that as soon as I check the service manual first. All right, well, instructions for the LSA right here. That's for the assembly. So the cover bolts go to 106 inch-pounds when I tighten them. I didn't take the relief valve out. I don't see any real difference on this side. It doesn't say to use a Shims or anything that I see. So, you know, you hear stuff online and sometimes it's right. Sometimes it might be old ways of doing things. But I don't see anything in here saying that I have to measure off the crank. I think it's a good idea, especially if you have some feeler gauges that you can put in there and get everything evened up so you don't have a wear-in situation and make things even more sloppy. Well, let's see how the gear rotor looks with the gauges. Okay, so now I'm testing in between the inner gear and the crank. This feeler gauge is 2/1000ths. That slips in. All these are 2/1000ths or 2/1000ths and a half or 25/10ths. So all these slide in and out just fine. So that feels good. 2/1000ths feels good. So I'm happy with that. Oops, sorry, I'm not paying attention to the camera again, but so at least 2/1000ths all the way around that. Some people might say, but Mark, the gear rotor's moving back and forth. Well, actually, no, it shouldn't be. That seems a little tight at the bottom. So that is tight. I'm not able to get that in there. Let's see what 1/1000th and a half is going to look like. Let's separate them here. Here's 1/1000th and a half. It's like tin foil. So 1/1000th and a half slides in there. That is tight at the bottom, and I don't like that. I hate to loosen the thing back up, but that's really loose all through there. That's really quite loose. That's a 3/1000th and that will not fit. Yeah, it's really tight. So it's within 1/1000th and a half of each other. I cannot get that to go in there. And that concerns me because I know that that means that that is too tight at the bottom. That's too tight. So I'm going to have to do some more adjustment. This is going to sound a little unconventional for a feeler gauge. So I have these three here at 120 degrees apart. And then I have this one actually wrapping around. And then this one wrapping around. This is 1/1000th and a half. This is 1/1000th and a half. If I put a 2/1000ths down here, I could not get the 1/1000th and a half up here. So there's exactly 1/1000th and a half of clearance around this thing. And they both feel good. I just got it on the edge. I don't have the hole there because I don't want any burrs or anything rubbing against it. But they both feel good. And both of these are 2.5/1000ths. 2.5. I think one of these is 2 and it's a little loose. This one's pretty loose. That's 2.5 and that's 2.5. So I think we're good now. I think we're good to, I'm gonna torque them, make sure it doesn't move. And it probably will a little bit. And then I'll button it up. All right, that's torqued. And those are sliding right out. Perfect. Nice, and nothing's getting stuck. Everything has a tolerance. Nothing is tight. Great. All right, well, it's torqued. There's 1/1000 and a half all the way around here, and there's 2.5 thousandths on each one of these. And then of course the back probably did move a little bit, but I'm more concerned about this and here than a little bit of the housing in the back. I'd much rather have this in spec than the back. I did get the back close, got all this really close, so I didn't have to fight it. But I'm happy with it. Nothing's gonna rub. These are originally the out-facing pieces, so I don't have one inside out from the other. I think that's very important. This will rotate inside here, and it already has a wear pattern, so you don't want to mix those up. Anyway, I'm gonna put the cover back on, torque that down to the spec that we saw, and we'll be done. All right, and there you have it. It's all torqued. I just got to mark my bolts that I did so, and it's ready to go. And I gotta set the bolt back in there, which is gonna be all kinds of fun, but I got an idea for that. And I have a little safety here I gotta button up. So thanks for stopping by today and enjoying my oil pump install. Have a good night.